there's like the very known example in MBA classes of, they once created a powder that you can make a cake out of. And it was not working. And you only have to add water to that. It was not working. And then they changed it. So you had to add like an egg and milk. And only then it worked, because you actually felt like you were doing something. You felt like you're putting yourself into it. So I think we see the same here. You want to make the user understand that this is theirs. It's not just, something generic for everyone.
Hi, everybody. I'm Yuval, and you're listening to YAAP podcast by AI21. Today, I'm speaking with Yotam Gil, CEO of Imagen AI, about how Imagen AI differentiates itself in a world full of Gen AI applications, and also about their Commando Squad that uses vibe coding to explore new product ideas. Hi, Yotam. How are you?
Hi, Yuval. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too. Finally in person.
Yeah.
Can you tell me maybe a bit about yourself and about Imagen in general?
Yeah, sure. So I'm Yotam. I'm the CEO of Imagen. I co-founded Imagen with two partners 5 years ago. I studied electrical engineering as my first degree. Then I worked for a couple of years in semiconductors companies, in companies doing software for semiconductors. And then at around 2016, we started seeing amazing results from AI models. At that point, I told myself that I have to go back to academy and get deep into that because it really excited me. And then after a couple of years of conviction, I decided to go full-time on that and do my thesis. And at university, I also met Yoav, my partner, and our CTO today. And when we graduated, he was already at a point where we got married a few months earlier, and had waited for his wedding photos for a long time. And then he started discussing and speaking to his photographer, trying to understand why it takes so long. And he found out that editing the photos, and the more general term is post-production, is a very, very manual process, very time-consuming, and in general, something no photographer likes. So, it's not something they see as a creative process, maybe in the first photo or the second photo, but then at the 999 photo, it's not creative. It's just manual.
It's kind of like tuning parameters and...
Exactly. So basically what you do, you go over photo by photo, and you adjust on average 10 parameters per photo. At this point, I think I joined. And then we decided to check if we can actually apply AI, neural network for that. And we had three things that we thought were crucial. One, the personalization. The reason photographers could not automate their process is that each photographer is editing differently. And that's basically what they sell to their customers. So if you're going to get married and you come to a photographer, you basically choose a photographer based on their editing style.
It's not like a one-size-fits-all. You can't just do an editing software that says, well, I can just edit it generally, because then they lose all their edge, essentially.
Exactly. Then you don't have any value proposition, any uniqueness in the market. So we said, okay, it has to be personal to each photographer. It also has to be part of the workflow. We don't want to change their workflow. They have a very established workflow that they've been working for years on improving that and perfecting that. So you don't want to try and replace that. We wanted it to be an iterating process. So the more you use Imagen, or the more you use our product, you'll get better results.
This was the way you started. You said, well, what will be the three key principles?
Yeah, I think the first two are like definitely something we spoke about, like, personalization and integrating to their existing workflow. So then we graduated and COVID hit and my oldest son was born. So everything was happening at the same time. And then we decided to pursue this opportunity. And we first show the first results to Yoav's photographer. And
So you had a beta user at hand.
we had a beta user, and he saw the results and his eyes were like wide open, and he said, "Oh my God, it's going to save so many years of my life." And then we got a strong validation and decided to go for it. And then again, it was COVID. So photographers were sitting at their homes, frustrated because all the projects got canceled or got postponed or got delayed. Nobody knew what's the future of the world and this, the world of photography. So it was, a bad timing to start a photography company. But on the other hand, we had a lot of people we could speak to. So we got a ton of validation, a ton of meetings, and the optimistic ones, the people who did believe that photography world is going to come back at full power, we're really excited about the solution. So then we developed the product, and it was April 2021. So all the projects, all the weddings, everything that was canceled or delayed, people still wanted to do a wedding. So everything was delayed to a specific point in time. If you have everything, all the projects at once, then you can't meet your deadlines, and your customers are going to be very angry with you. So that was a good time to go to the market. We got a lot of traction, a lot of customers, a lot of users. We got a couple of articles written about us in different blogs and websites. And that was the initial big success. Then we raised like a seed round from NFX on September 2021. And from then it started rolling on. We grew up really quickly in terms of brand awareness and customers and revenues and employees. And today, 5 years later, we changed our vision to not only focus on editing, but helping photographers with anything they need, which is a lot. They have like post-production needs, but also anything around managing their business and how they market themselves and how they basically anything you need as a photography business. And recently we also introduced a new video product. So we also have this new chapter that begins now.
So maybe let's walk through some of the best features of Imagen. Are you choosing the images? Are you editing the images according to what exactly are you doing there?
Okay, so the workflow in Imagen is you open Imagen, and then the first thing we want you to do is to upload a lot of your previously edited photos. At the beginning, it was 10,000 photos. Over time, it went down to 1,000 photos that we need in order to be able to actually capture your style into what we call an AI profile. But basically, this AI profile will take your photos, will analyze that, and will fine-tune a big model that will be adjusted or trained specifically for you, that will get photos as an input and will output the editing parameters as output of the model. So this model is personalized specifically for you, and each model gives different results. So that's one. Secondly, we spoke about like being part of your workflow. So the output of the model will go directly to your editing software. So you're getting it there. You don't have to change anything. We hopefully get you to the finish line or very close to the finish line. And third, we want to be a co-pilot. So we want it to help you, but not replace you. So we give you the suggestion, but then you can go and change and adjust and finalize everything that doesn't look like your style.
And
then,
it's always easier to change a little bit
Exactly.
than do it from scratch.
Yeah, exactly. And then the last point, after you finalized all your photos and you think it's perfect and really matches your style, you deliver the photos. It's much faster. It's about 10% of the time it took before. And you also send us back the adjustments so we can continue improving and give you more accurate and better results for the next time. And it helps us, give better value for the customers over time, make sure that we adjust to their style, which is also changing over time, and reflect the trends that they are following. So I think that's one of the key features that keeps Imagen users with us for many years.
I think it's really interesting because you mentioned those three aspects, which, today in this world where everybody has the same foundation models, you can think, even conceptually, you can think how maybe easy it will be to replicate the core technology that you have, core offering, right? And what you talked about here are three main principles that kind of differentiate, right, your Imagen from other maybe companies. Did you try other things that were maybe not as good, or something that was not as impactful as you thought?
So when we just started, it was very hard convincing people to upload their photos to Imagen, an unknown service that they never heard about. AI wasn't that big, it wasn't that commonly known at that point in time. So the barrier of education and, making people trust you, that the photos are not going anywhere, suspicious, was challenging. So then we created what we called up-to-date talent profiles. We had about 20 photographers, top names, thought leaders in the industry, reached out. We told them, okay, let's build a profile together, and people can edit their photos based on your style. We're doing some rev share with them, so they're getting royalties for each photo edited with their style. And we thought it would be a much easier way to start editing your photos until you develop your own style. What we know today, after 5 years, is that first, it's really hard to move someone from using this profile to create their own personal profile. And the value you're getting from building your own profile and from, taking the time and the effort to build something of your own, really, the value you get is much, much higher. And I think just the time you put into it and the commitment that you create for yourself makes you feel, proud of what you created. By the way, once you created it, we treat it as your intellectual property. So we as Imagen, we cannot use it without your permission. And moreover, we have created what we call a profile shop. This is a marketplace for profiles. And you as a photographer spent, years and decades on perfecting your style. You can now go and sell it to other photographers.
I also wanted to ask, you've mentioned before something about going inside their workflow and not building everything from scratch. I would imagine, pun not intended, that it involves a lot of what we call engineering work, a lot of software, not necessarily all the algorithmic work of putting the models there. Like, how hard is it? Like, much harder than build something from scratch, or how many time do you really invest in stay compliant to those existing workflows?
So I think that in our case, it was much easier to focus on our differentiation. If we actually had to build, Lightroom is the Adobe software most of the photographers are using. That's like a 20 years old software with, many features, many layers. So being able to just focus on the algorithmic work behind the scenes really focused us on giving the best results, and not on the interface, and not on the ability to support all the features before we can go out to the market. It really relates to the way I think about product, and the way we develop product in Imagen in iterative ways. You don't want to create the full-blown product before you can go out to the market. You want to create something as small as you can for testing. To be able to use Lightroom as part of the workflow and not replace it.
So Yotam, you've mentioned developing features and really see how the market reacts to that. It's even harder, I think, today when every day we have 5 new models, 10 new products. How do you keep up now? How do you do those kind of things?
So for us, what I feel like more challenging today is because once we started to grow in number of people, we had to make sure that the processes are more structured. And, we have a planning for each quarter and we have a roadmap. Everything is much more planned. But with that, you want the ability to react fast. And as you said, like we have 5 new models each day. And, just a week ago, Google came out with Nano Banana, which really we can make a lot of stuff with that. So you want to make sure that you're not sticking to your roadmap no matter what, and especially in this time when things are changing so fast and change the world so dramatically. And of course there's vibe coding that makes development costs so much cheaper.
How can you do an episode without talking about vibe coding?
Exactly. So, and we started experimenting with that. Of course, each developer got his own cursor license or Cloud Code or whatever they like. And we expected to see like 10x development speed. But then we found out that it's not that efficient for existing code. So if you already have an existing code base, which is with a lot of knowledge base accumulated over the years. So it's still hard to use vibe coding for complete features. And then we said, okay, what we can do, how we can actually use it better. And we established what we called a Commando Squad.
Commando
Squad. It's a cool branding, cool name. And it's basically a very small squad. It's just one PM, even not full-time PM, and one developer. And I'm also involved in that because...
And one part-time of CEO.
Yeah, exactly. And this Commando Squad is basically focused on things that are not within the product. So we can actually build things from scratch, which we found out that are much easier with vibe coding. We had discussions whether to connect it to our databases or not. We decided to connect it to our databases because we think it can give additional value.
But isn't it make it harder?
Yeah, it does make it a bit harder, but it's important enough. So you can actually give, if these are already users of yours, you can give them additional information within the product based on their previous usage. We defined it to be projects that are 1 or 2 sprints max. And we decided to to develop ideas that are, long ahead in the roadmap, things that we wouldn't get to in the next year.
Because they are not as important, because they are hard to develop, because you just don't really know if this is what the user wants?
The last one. So we don't really know how the audience will react to that. It's not something that necessarily came out from our users. But we do feel there is potential. We do see that there's intent in, search keywords in Google for that. We do see that some people, anecdotally ask for that. So we do hear something, but we're not sure. before the Commando Squad, or the way we do new features normally, is that PM will go and discover the market and speak to users and try to understand how important this feature is for them. And we felt like in many cases, the need is not coming up because even the users can't tell that this is important for them. But once we come up with the idea, then they said, wow, that would be really cool. That would be really nice. So we decided, okay, let's give it a shot. And I can't say that we have like a very long mileage with that. We just started it like 2 months ago. But we already have 2 products. One was already released. One is in the making. The first one that came out of customers' voice was about being able to send quick quotes. Photographer wanted to send quick quotes to their customers, kind of like a DocuSign for photographers, in which you have everything within the application, all the different categories that are specific for photographers, benchmarks for pricing. This is something that photographers are asking a lot about, how to price my service. So we did that.
This is texts only, right?
Something it's basically giving them a contract that was, legally approved, giving them some benchmark for the prices, giving them a way to share the contract and sign it on the customer side. So we did it in terms of one sprint, 2 weeks, and we're very excited about releasing it to the market for the first time, and posted it on the community and set and waited, and nothing happened. Nobody was really excited about it. So then, because it was our first project, we're not sure whether we didn't market it enough or whether the product itself is not something that people are looking for. That's a big question. We still don't know how to answer it. But at the beginning, we said we're going to be very harsh. If it's not working, we just kill it.
Yeah, you don't want to fall in love with bad ideas.
Exactly. And we spent 2 weeks to develop it. That's okay. We can pay this amount of time and move forward. And that's what we did. So we just decided to kill that and move to the next one. Ideally, again, we don't have a lot of experience yet, but ideally, out of 5 ideas we can test on a quarter, I would love to have one that survives and moves to the actual roadmap.
20%, I think, is a very high success rate.
Yeah. And that's it. The second idea that we are just releasing now is actually a mobile app. Mobile app, we never went to mobile. This is the first time we test it. This one came from photographers within Imagen. So within Imagen, we have about 20 photographers that actually transitioned from being photographers to customer success or to marketing or to different places. And they told us, listen, when I'm at a wedding or at event or shooting a project, during the break, I have to go to my iPhone and edit 10 photos just to show the client how they look and get their approvals. I want to have time for a break. I want to have time for dinner without interruptions. Just give me my Imagen profile within the mobile. So that's what we did. And we allow now to upload photos from mobile to Imagen with your own profiles, see how it looks. And then, of course, we got everything excited within Imagen because now you can, shoot photos on your iPhone and edit them with Imagen. So that's the next product. It takes a bit longer because it's the first time we actually have to approve an app with, Apple Store and Google Play and stuff like that. But I feel like this is going to be a win for us. But let's see.
The one in 5 to get it in the second project will be a huge success.
Exactly. And in general, I think that this is a really interesting use case for vibe coding, being able to reduce the time and the costs associated with product discovery and user testing and everything like that. It's not going to replace the work of the product manager. But it's just going to make it much, much faster to get validation from the market and to decide what are the features that are most important for the users.
Yeah, it's kind of like vibe coding is a production worth like product for product managers.
Yeah,
I would say it's interesting. I don't think I've encountered in a lot of vibe coding in production.
Mm-hmm.
Most of the time people talk about how it's nice for demos, it's nice for my sister's app for their selling bakery stuff, but it's not something that you really think about as production. And even here it's kind of like a prototyping case. Like it's still the things that you hear about, but there is an actual feedback you get. It's just that the PM gets it.
Yeah. I think that companies are just now starting to understand how to use vibe coding in a way that on one hand will make you move faster, but on the other hand will not damage your brand. And that's actually another important thing. We actually differentiated the Imagen brand, which has fine-tuned product that was tested and verified. And, we really, it's important for us to have a very solid product with the products coming from the Imagen Commando Squad. We call it the Imagen Labs. And we make sure that users understand that it's not polished as our main products. So I think that's also an important disclaimer to say if you have something like that.
And your plan is, if something like this will succeed, to just take the code and just improve it a little bit, or
that's a good question. Whether you throw everything and start from scratch, or whether you just improve, what you had with the Commando Squad. I don't know yet.
I think that's the interesting part, because it is it's great that you can hear it now from first source. I also see it here that when it's existing data, the code and databases and stuff like that, it's hard to really use vibe coding to do massive things. But if you start something with vibe coding, I'm hearing a lot of mixed reviews about that. Is it something you can actually handle and scale and maintain, or is the code just a lot of things that are maybe not as efficient and it's better to throw it away? So I think it will be interesting to see.
Yeah, that's a good question. But in any case, it had made a lot of our work much, much faster. I mean, entire validation process, we got it much earlier in the process. And the feedback alone will make you build much faster the real product.
Any tips for anybody who wants to start something like that, like how to use vibe coding the best you can?
So, I mean, this is just based on our findings, but I mean, being able to differentiate it from your main product and being able to build something from scratch makes you move faster. Being able to validate based on real feedback is something we didn't have before. Before we created, mock-ups, and we went on user calls and did discovery calls with people and showing them Figma screens or stuff like that. Now you can actually test it with real users. And since we had a couple of, exciting projects in the past, we know how excitement looks like. And if we don't see that, we know that maybe it's time to move on.
Yotam, I wonder, we talk a lot about photography, and yet I think in most conferences that I've been to lately, there's a lot of talk about you don't need any shooting days anymore. You can just use Veo 3 or any other generative video model to, here's the ad that you wanted, here's the video that you wanted to do. What does it mean about photography in general, and are we going to replace anybody?
So yeah, we are going to replace someone or somebody. But I think that the world is going to be split into two. One side is the documentary world of photography, in which you want photographers to document something, whether it's a special event in your life, whether it's a conference you just organized, whether it's this podcast. So
unless someone will decide that it's better to put an avatar instead of me.
Yeah.
Which at this point, I'm not sure it's such a bad idea.
I'm okay with that. So documentary or documenting reality, I think it's always going to be something that's important for us as humans. You want to use photography to help you remember, things in the past. And for us as Imagen, most of our customers are documentary photographers. So they are very, very afraid of Gen AI features and Gen AI hallucinations and anything that might affect the true emotions and true reality that was existed at the moment. So that's one side. The other side of photography, which you can call it commercial photography or product photography or anything which, shoots models, whether it's human models or, products or anything like that, I think we'll go through a major change in the next few years. And then you also have to ask yourself what would still be important, or where it will still be important to shoot real objects or real models, and where not.
It kind of seems right. Everything which is manufactured or like artificial, something that you have to direct yourself, will probably go to models. I suspect.
Yeah, that's right. And think about how much easier it would be for any company to just, write a prompt other than organize like a shooting day and have models and have production and everything. But, and this is my point of view, I think that we'll see some productions that are still using real objects and real humans. And these will be the verticals in which authenticity is really important.
It's like in the movie of Wicked, right? They planted a whole bunch of flowers instead of doing it CGI like everybody expected them to do.
I have to see it.
I know what you're going to do today.
Maybe. I think there will be places where, authenticity is still important. But I mean, reality will have to reinvent itself, which might be good news because then you would actually create and innovate faster, because you have AI learning very fast, the old creativity, and you're free to move along to the next.
To explore new directions
Exactly.
And see what the AI know or don't know. Right.
But let's see. Who knows?
Thanks a lot for coming here today. I learned a lot. It's really opened the window for everything vibe coding can help product managers to do, and on the vision world, which for me, it's a bit of a blind spot. Thank you very much
for having me. It was a pleasure.
And for all the listeners, stay tuned for other episodes of YAAP.